everyone, and welcome to my inaugural episode of the ShortTermPro podcast. In the coming weeks, you're going to be hearing from me. My name is Vernon Corum. I'm the host. In the next couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing some content that we've been creating over the last several months, and we've actually got folks that are local. I've got a few people that are from other countries and some other folks coming on to my podcast, and I'm really excited about this. It's been a labor of love. I've really been working on it for a little while now, and if you don't know me, it's my fault. My name again is Vernon Corum. I'm a local realtor here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I serve the greater East Tennessee area, including the Great Smoky Mountains. I work mostly with investors, so my job here locally has really been helping folks on the service side of it for a while now. I'm also the founder of Staycating.com. I'm the owner of that company. It's my LLC where we run all of our management, consulting, and all that stuff through. I'm pretty much commonly referred to as the ShortTermPro. That was a name that was kind of coined by some of my peers, and I didn't like it at first, but the more I do the things I do, it kind of started to fit, and I kind of have grown into that. And so I'm kind of the local person around here, sort of the expert here locally. Folks call on me to really just kind of help them with their short-term rentals and their vacation rentals. You know, I do everything from consulting, coaching. I also help people with arbitrage. I help people with midterm stays. I help people with the long-term stays. I don't really do the long-terms, but I have a lot of folks in that space. So if you're an investor that wants to do any kind of investing, obviously you're the right ideal client for me, and you're the right kind of listener for this podcast, because what we're doing with this podcast is we're trying to rewind back and try to get professionals to come in, whether it's a mortgage professional or a realtor or other property management companies. I've actually had some corporate folks come in that are on a corporate level of doing the larger scale management. And it's really interesting to just sit down and listen to people's stories and listen to their journeys. I want to begin today by telling you that I believe that everyone deserves a trusted advisor. They need someone that can help them solve their problems, and that's what I do. I really am a person that grew up around my mom and my dad, who both were service professionals, and I got into sales because I was just that kind of person. You know, I understood that you needed to solve people's problems to be a good salesman, and so I believe that everyone needs that person in their life that's going to tell them what they need to hear. They need to be real. They need to be upfront and honest with people. You know, if you're a client of mine, there's times where we might have a discussion and things can be really honest and real. It's hard sometimes for me to take calls that I take because I get folks that call me when it's too late. I also believe that to make $1 million deals and do podcasts like I'm doing today, your feet have to be comfortable. Today I'm wearing a great pair of shoes. They're key to my success. They really are. I used to wear Crocs or flip-flops when I did $1 million deals. People would laugh I'd show up in a suit with that. But today I'm sporting the gray and orange On Clouds. No endorsement there. If On Clouds wants to endorse me at some point, I'd love it because I wear like tons of On Cloud shoes. You get old like I am, that's the thing you do. But let's just get real for a minute, guys. You know, for me to start this journey out with you, I've actually got someone who's going to be interviewing me for another podcast. But I want to talk to you a little bit about who I am and what I do. You know, the first thing is that most people are really interested in is my weight loss journey. They're interested in how I went from being a person who was over 404 pounds, how I was out of shape, overweight. You know, in high school, I was in pretty good shape. I could run a sub 7 mile. You know, I was pretty decent shape. I did things. I played sports. And you know, it's funny that, you know, life gets in the way, and you know, you kind of lose yourself through all the process. And just before the pandemic hit, right around 2019, I went and I did some research, and I wanted to transform my life because I got tired of being sick and tired. I got tired of being sick and tired. And when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, hopefully you're going to do something about it. But that's not where my journey began, because actually about 10 years before that, I had actually got a letter from my doctor, and it had told me that I was morbidly obese and I had all these comorbidities. And it took a while in my life for me to realize that, you know, you've got to take care of yourself, and you've got to have a transformation experience. You've got to have something that creates a turnaround for you. It wasn't that I was unsuccessful. It wasn't that I was doing anything in my life that was, you know, the real world looking around me was like, wow, he's all smiles. He's always helping people. He's giving back. You know, I used to do a lot of work in the nonprofit sector. You know, I was youth director in churches. I did a lot of that. I actually started a music venue in the part of town over here where, it's a little cool and it was a little sketchy. I was in a biker community for a while. I hung out with some outlaws. I hung out with some people that, people would not hang out with. I actually went out in the community and we worked with the homeless. We gave out water. A lot of the homeless community around here are overlooked except during the holidays. And especially when it gets cold, sometimes people are pushed out because either they have a felony or they have something in their lives that creates an opportunity for them to be left on the streets. And when it gets really cold, that's when they need the most help. And so we had an outreach that did a lot of that. Like I said, I hung out with bikers, and I found that there's a code, there's honor among thieves, there's honor among outlaws. And I learned to live by some of those codes when I was working with a lot of these folks. We were doing these big events, and we'd have all kinds of people there. A lot of these guys, I could make a phone call right now to some of the folks here locally, and I can get help. I can get assistance with things that I need help with. So it's good to have friends that, normal people don't hang out with. I've served a lot of homeless people. I've served pimps. I've served prostitutes. We've actually been out on the streets of Knoxville, Tennessee, and we've done a lot in the community that the underserved, the underprivileged. My most recent endeavors when I left all that is to be in the sports community. And I had a son who played sports, I had a son in the band, and we've really been plugged into our community, assisting the high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools, either as sponsors or as leaders. I'm the executive director of the local youth football program. We also have the middle school program with that. And we also have the high school where I'm the booster president. And everybody's like, how do you do all this? How do you keep all this going? The fact is that I have created a lifestyle where it's truly a 24/7, 365-day labor of love. And if you want that kind of lifestyle, you can create it. I'm the ultimate corporate success story. I was one of those guys that I started out with a service mindset. I worked in the paint industry for a while, and I worked in the coatings industry, and I sold both residential paint, and I sold commercial paint. I sold even some marine and high-end stuff to people, and I was the number 1, 4, and 5 in consecutive years in the company that I was in the United States, Canada, Puerto Rico. I was a pretty successful story. Had the company car, the company credit card. I was doing the stuff I wanted to do, but I was just really unfulfilled. Because what I found was I was always trying to build someone else's dream. I wanted that vacation lifestyle that I always talk to people about. For a little while, I kind of took some time off, and I was, working on a side business where I was doing staging for corporate housing, and I was doing some cleaning, and my wife and I were doing a business together, doing all that. And ultimately, all of that success in my life and doing the things that I did, I still had an emptiness, and I needed a transformation. I see this even in the industry today. I see people who are just unfulfilled. They don't know their purpose. They don't know their why. And I get to have client calls sometimes with people that don't know their why. They don't know their purpose. They don't even know why they're doing investing. They don't know why they're wanting to buy a property. They don't know why their marriage is failing. They don't know why things are happening in their lives. And it's almost like life is happening to them instead of happening for them. I have so many case studies and successes that I can share with you if you ever want to talk about them. The best way to do those for me, I don't like bragging. I don't like talking about my income. I don't like talking about everything. Because I live a pretty modest lifestyle. I live in a 3-bedroom rancher in Fountain City, Tennessee. I drive a modest van. We ended up buying a vehicle last February, and it's like we don't like car payments. We don't like house payments. We don't like any of that. We don't like debt. Debt's not our friend. We just don't like debt. And so it's funny, we ended up buying a used vehicle, and it was a big decision for me and my wife and my family, because we don't do that. So when you see these guys out there, getting in front of their Ferraris, doing their little peace signs, and and all those fake gurus, a lot of them guys, some of them have it, some of them don't. But the real people in the real world is who I like to deal with. I like to deal with people who are like me, who have the same goals as me, have the same aspirations as me, have the same belief systems, have the same core values that I have. My core values start with my faith and my family, my friends, my finances, those things that, I take care of every day on a daily basis, my fitness. I want people around me that have those same goals, have those same aspirations to be a part of my life. I have helped people, for the last 35, 40 years of my life. I truly believe in a giver's gain mentality. I truly believe that everything starts with what I have done to help others with their life and help them somehow find a way to find their purpose or find their why, or help them develop things that they want to develop or build a business. You know, I've helped all kinds of businesses. I've helped all kinds of people with upstarts. I currently do advising for a tech company right now called Jetstream Hospitality. Those folks have been great to me. They help me with a lot of the things that I need in my business, and I in turn help them build their business. You know, it's super important to me that not everything's transactional. You know, and there's a certain reciprocity when you do a give back with people. So if you want to talk about my stuff that I do and all the great things I've done, great, call me. We can talk about it. I have very strong opinions about faith and religion and politics and all that, but none of that stuff is supposed to be out there in front of people to divide us. What I'm more concerned with is finding ways to unite people from all different types of backgrounds. You know, there's a song out there, it takes all kinds of kinds. You know, it really does. For us to be successful in this world, it takes all kinds of us. So, you know, here's the truth. I really truly believe that everyone wants to have that vacation lifestyle. They want to be free from their 9 to 5. You know, I was there. You know, I was in a good position. You know, I was making good money, company car, excited, happy. Everybody's like, "Woo, let's go play golf. You know, let's do all this," and I'm having all this fun. You know, but I realized in the middle of all that, all I was doing was building someone else's dream. I was not building, you know, my dream. I wanted to spend more time with my family. I wanted to spend more time with my friends. I wanted to spend more time basically doing what I wanted to do, being able to help in the community, being able to go on a Friday afternoon like I do now, and after my podcast is over, and go set up for football meals and help the young men in my community that want to grow. I have a nonprofit. I'll explain a little bit more about it at some point, where we're actually creating an opportunity to help young men in our community that really have no aspirations of going to college. You know, they have no aspirations of doing anything. You know, I know that there's a lot of people wanting to build generational wealth. You know, I have a lot of assets under management, and I have lots of people that I talk to all over the world. I don't just serve East Tennessee. I have folks in Canada, I have folks in England, I have folks in Puerto Rico, Mexico. I have people all over, you know, the world who come to me to seek advice about how they're going to build, you know, their short-term rentals, and they look for my coaching. They look for things will become a little less, you know, obvious in my life, to where I can spend that energy and that time, you know, as much as I do now. So for me, I would love to be able to replicate what I'm doing and replicate people around me that see it the way I see it. They have the same dreams, they have the same goals, they have the same aspirations. You know, it's always better when we get in the process early. So if you're looking for a real estate agent to help you buy or sell a property, I'm obviously a guy who can help you with that. It's not just me, but I have other folks on my team. You know, if you're wanting to get into this space, I have other people on my team that I trust. You know, it's important for me to have other people that it's not just me. I've referred a lot of my business out to other realtors so I can focus on the most important part. You know, to me, the property's either turnkey, rent ready, or not. So what a lot of people think when they hear that phrase, "Oh, this one's turnkey," and basically what that means, they think they're going to turn a key, set it up with some systems, put it on Airbnb, Verbo, get it going, and it's going to make them thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Because somewhere in the process, either the real estate agent told them it was going to make a certain amount of money, or the property management company, or they were told that it's going to have everything in it that's turnkey. Just recently, I had a property that was sold that was somewhat turnkey. The lady ended up spending about another $8,000 to $10,000 to get this property turnkey rent ready. So the earlier I get in the process with you as an investor or as someone who is building their portfolio, the better I can help you. So obviously coming in at the real estate transaction, whether or not I'm the person that actually helps you buy or sell your property, I will be a part of that team and that overseeing process. Because I really truly like to spend my time with the investor understanding the bigger picture thing. And sometimes during those negotiations or whatever, you can kind of get off on a little tangent, or you can go down a rabbit hole. And for me to stay focused, I will allow myself to be a part of the plan in order to make sure things go right for you. I get paid. I'm going to get paid on it. There's the other side of the equation sometimes where you have to go to the rescue plan. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. Like I said, you know, you've got a lot of real estate agents out there, you know, 2 years ago that were taking pro formas that were saying that properties were going to gross certain amount of revenue on the gross revenue. When you're looking at your property opportunity, your investment, your new, short-term lifestyle creator. There's somebody that uses the word lifestyle asset. There's a company called Vodacy. They are great. I think that's truly what most people are trying to do. When you're buying a vacation rental like you are in the Smoky Mountains, you're actually buying something that not only you can use, but something that you can actually make money to pay the mortgage, to pay the bills, to keep it up and going, and so it's not sitting for months on end. You're actually building a lifestyle with that. You maybe want to be creating generational wealth. Again, you may want to leave your 9 to 5 with that. You may want to keep your day job and you just kind of want to turn it over to some folks and build an asset that you can pass on to your kids. But through all that process, there's some maintenance things that need to happen. There's some things that need to be in the ongoing process. Sometimes you may have turned it over to a property management company and, it's not always their fault. I mean, it's not their fault because there's a big difference. Most people don't understand. There's a big difference between project management and property management. Most property management companies are more focused on the bookings, getting people in there because that's the way they make the revenue. They charge you a commission for, certain percentage. We don't want to talk about it. It can be really low or it can be really high. And a lot of that depends on what services they offer for you, whether they're paying the taxes, whether they're taking care of the bookkeeping, and they're doing a lot of things for you and basically just sending you the information that you need at the end of the month to file with your tax attorney or your CPA, your bookkeeper. If they're doing everything full end to end, it's worth money because time is money. And the amount of time and energy and money that they save you sometimes can be worth a little bit more commission. But you need to be thinking about that when you're getting ready to buy the property. If you're self-managing, it's still not free because it's still requiring your time. You're going to have to hire cleaners. You're going to have to hire maintenance people, your boots on the ground people. You're going to have a bookkeeper. You're going to have a CPA. You really are beginning to work it like a business. So if you're not working it like a business, you're going to end up having to come to me. And I get calls sometimes, and sometimes they're in the evenings, and I've been on a phone call two nights this week after 7 p.m. with people, and they just don't know what to do. They're not able to meet their mortgage. They're not able to do the things that they want to do with the property. They need repairs. They've been hit with things that, issues with foundations. They've been hit with things that should have been in the discovery process, in the due diligence phase. There's things that should have been seen. I've actually gone back and actually looked at MLSs, and I've actually found information when I talk about my rescue plan that was there plain sight, and no one pointed it out to anyone. I've been told by some people, it's like, well, I was told this property would do, let's say, $100,000 a year gross. But what they failed to realize is the real estate agent just took a pro forma from the management company who was trying to get the management deal, and they ended up getting a property that had only performed $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 the previous 2 years when times were good. So where in the confusion and the mess of all this did someone actually think their property was going to be able to do what those those property management people told them? So it's important to not just get one of everything, but get 3 of everything. I have a short-term rental mastermind group that I've developed and created. I have some of the best and brightest people in the industry that work with me, mortgage professionals, attorneys, title companies, and I have 3 or 4 or 5 of each one of them. The fun part about what I do is, people come to me, and I love solving problems. And really, again, it goes back to what I call the rescue plan. Let's talk about what that is today. The R is for research. If you come to me and say, hey, my property's underperforming, I'm not happy with the management, I'm not happy with the way the sales process went, it's just not doing what we thought it would do, I just want to sell it. And the first thing I'm going to say to you is, well, okay, that may be the option. But it may also be the option of maybe it's something we can tweak. And so we'll do a little bit of a deeper dive, and we'll tell you why your property's not performing. Full disclosure, there are some fees for these things that we do. But if you're going to spend a little money to save a lot of money, or spend a little money to get the solid advice, a lot of times if we do the sale, or we do the management, or we do something else, those fees are absorbed into that, and we just give it back to you in value after the fact. But we got to get paid for our time a little bit up front. We'll do some free performance and things like that. But really, truly, for us to do a deep dive, we really need to spend some time. We need to think about the marketing. We need to look, what research was done initially. We'll go back and look at the process. We may look at your history of, the purchase. We may want to look at some, like I have clients all the time that have things where they have shared amenities, where there's HOA, there's things that they were not told about, there's exorbitant amount of fees that are involved with certain things. Maybe someone didn't tell them about, tell you about what's going on in the community. Maybe they knew some things that were not disclosed to you. That doesn't make these people bad. It just means that, in this world, I believe that there's like several things that are not good. I believe that there's ignorance and there's injustice. Ignorance on my part sometimes is because I just didn't know. I may have done all the research in the world. The real estate agents that are with me did all the real estate in the world. They've done all this work, and we still missed it. That's why we want to tell you sometimes, the things that we give you, like investment advice we give you, it's not legal advice, it's not tax advice, it's truly what we can see, what we can get a hold of in that moment in time. Because when you get an inspection done on your property, it's the same thing. If we walk your property in inspection and we give you what we call our STR, turnkey rent ready inspection, what we're looking for is things like, is the furniture going to be solid? What are the things you're going to need? What are the purchases you're going to buy? We have an Amazon list of everything that's needed for a short-term rental. We go out and we help you with that. We do that in-depth research. We're going to try to find out why your property is underperforming, or if you come to us before you buy, we're going to try to keep you engaged in the process enough to where you're going to understand that, hey, if you're going to make an offer on this property, you've qualified for, let's say, $1 million property. And you want to go in, and the first thing the real estate agent's going to do is they're going to check that box, and they're going to say, okay, we're going to show you 900,000 to 1.1 million roughly, top properties. They're going to go out and start showing you that. But what we want to do is we want to take a step back and go, okay, yeah, you could spend $1 million, but let's take a look at your marketing budget. Let's take a look at what you're going to need for it. Is this thing going to have linens that are going to be provided? Are you going to have to buy those? Are you going to need to replace the HVAC? Are you going to need to do a lot of the things that lots of people don't think about? They also don't think about gross versus net. There's a lot of things, guys, that most people don't take in consideration when it comes to the net profits of their property. And there's a whole list of things that I have. I have over 200 to 300 things that I keep coming up with, of things that just people don't even think about. They don't spend the time to think about all the added expenses that go along with managing a property. There's so many unforeseens, there's so many variables that come into play. But the other side of this sometimes is it's injustice. You can't control if you bought a property in an area and the HOA decides 6 months afterward that you can't have that property anymore. And that puts you in a bad spot. So you need to be able to go to trusted advisors, one of my real estate attorneys, especially if you're in our market, who can actually help you sit down and work through that. If you have an issue with let's say they come in and change the laws. There's a lot of states and a lot of big cities right now they're changing the laws of short-term rentals because they're saying that there's not enough housing for everyone and all that, and there's not infrastructure to support it. That's not fair, but it's life and it happens. So it's important to have people around you that will come to your aid and will help rescue you and rescue your property in those situations. And sometimes the exit strategy is to sell it and just move on, take your losses and move on. But sometimes it's basically where we just need to set up systems and processes. The next thing we do is we begin to evaluate things. We evaluate your property, we evaluate the market, we look at the original pro formas that were given to you or the original information that was given to you. We try to go back in time and see if that was correct at the time, because data fluctuates. Data is king. Everything about this industry thrives on data. And if you know your guest avatar and the kind of folks you want to stay at your property, you know basically what it's supposed to perform at and what's supposed to happen. All that stuff is given to you in the beginning if you've got good people helping you. The fact is things change. We went through COVID. Actually, during COVID, a lot of rentals went up and made a lot of money. We had all the rentals that I had in the Smokies were doing 90+% occupancy and making really good average standard rates. Not the case anymore. The market's down. There's been some turn down. I've had people say, "Oh, your market's saturated." No, there's still good deals out there. There's still good properties out there. There's still great opportunities for people, especially when we have rescue properties, and we know the fact is that if you're an investor and you want to find some of those properties, we can actually connect you with that owner and help both of you out in the process and try to find an amicable solution, find some solutions that work for both buyer and seller. And the thing is, right now, there's a lot of that having to go on, and there may be a lot more of that. Depends on the interest rates. Where right now when we're talking, it's basically December 2023, and when this is being released, January. If the interest rates fluctuate more, there's a lot of things that can happen there. The markets and things. We're coming into an election year here in the United States. As long as I've been alive and as long as I've been voting, old enough to vote and understand and pay attention to that, it doesn't matter who the president or the Congress people or whoever's in charge. There's always some fear, there's always some frustration, there's always some hesitancy. Businesses don't let people travel as much, or there's no corporate, tightens up things. Things happen during election seasons, and sometimes that can affect your business, that can affect your property. So it's important for us to sit down and talk about those sorts of things. And if there's a problem going on, there's plenty of blame to go around. You could blame me, you could blame your realtor, you could blame everybody around you. But ultimately, as an investor, it's your job to be as educated as possible and to get as much information as possible and to understand what's going on in the process. So for us to go back and evaluate it, sometimes we were going to ask you some questions that it may be uncomfortable sometimes, but they're just to help you. We're going to ask you a question. Hey, do you have the original performer? What did someone tell you this property was going to do? And if you got a property that's been performing at $100,000 of gross income, and someone told you $150,000, we're going to go try to find out what that is and why that is. We're going to look at the market and see what's happening. Is the market trending up? Is it trending down? We're going to help you evaluate that. We're also, the S in rescue plan is we're going to provide solutions. We're going to work on customized strategy. They're going to speak to your unique needs. Again, if you want to self-manage, if you want to do property management yourself, or if you want to do things and build your own portfolio, we're going to help you with that. If you want to continue self-managing and build it out a little further, we're going to help you with that. When you buy an asset in a community, you want to make sure you're connected to the good folks in that community, and you want to help build their lives too. You want to help feed their kids, and you want to treat them good, and you want to treat them with respect. The worst thing that can happen in our industry is when we start treating people like help. They're not help. They're truly people that usually have a servant's mentality, or they have a hospitality mentality, or they just want to truly be there to help others, and they want to see others be happy and succeed. There's the other side of that process, of course, as well, but let's not go there right now. Let's focus on the positive today. The other thing is, one of the last things is the education part. E is for the education. Data is king and knowledge is power. We really want to empower you for long-term success. We want to help you. Again, if you want to buy a property, sell a property, manage a property, monetize a property, market a property, you may even want to create an exit strategy where you can get to the end of everything and be like, hey, I just want to sell my management business to someone else. There's a lot of management companies out there that will pay you really good money for that. You don't believe me. You just go out there and start looking around. If you build a portfolio, somebody will pay you money for that. And they will pay you not only for the properties, but they'll pay you for the management fees. They'll pay you for every bit of that. You actually can sell your management to another management company, and they'll buy it from you. There's really other ways to make money in this industry as well as not just the asset, but what else goes with that asset. With that asset. So if you want to create an exit strategy, there's a lot of folks that I'm in touch with that actually can help you with that. But again, reach out to your investment advisors and all that sort of thing, and talk to your CPAs and your tax advisors and all that, because again, I only know what I know, and I only give advice. So where I know to give advice, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to refer you to someone else if you have a question that I don't know the answer to, or it's out of my field of expertise. As a realtor, we have to adhere to certain strict standards that are presented by the National Association of Realtors. So it's very important that you understand that going in, that we want to be people of integrity and character, and we want to follow those rules throughout this process. The last thing we do with you is we will help you streamline the entire process. We're going to help you as a partner. We can actually help you on the front end all the way through the full end-to-end service. I'm not trying to do a full-on commercial today, but yes, I am. Let's say that. Let's just go ahead and say it. My first podcast is kind of a commercial, but you're going to see how I've helped so many other businesses out, and you're going to see in the coming weeks of how I've actually reached out to a lot of local businesses and tax folks and all that to be a part of my podcast. But I always like to end my podcast talking about my give back. I kind of talked about that throughout the process today. But it's super, super important to me to be involved in the community and to be a part of the community in whatever way you can. Today I would encourage you to find your give back, find a way to help others and serve others. And I always want to close out my podcast, and you'll hear it a lot of times. I try to close out everyone by saying that, today is the day that you should love everyone and leave a legacy. Super, super important to me. that you try to love as many people as you can. You don't always have to like them, but you have to love them. And always try to leave a legacy, and that's what this is really about. If you're an investor, you're really truly trying to leave a legacy. And it becomes a labor of love, because if you're a part of the process and you're part of it, you're really trying to build something that shows your kids or shows your family, shows others around you that you truly care about them and you truly love them. Because that's the hospitality mindset, because we really truly are not in the business of making money. We're in the business of hospitality and taking care of our guests. And so if you're looking to build that kind of lifestyle, number one, continue to listen to my podcast and listen to the people that we bring in every week. Continue to be a part of the process. Reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. Most people find me, it's Vernon Corum or ShortTermPro. I have a personal page that's Vernon Houston Corum Jr., which is my personal page. You'll see stuff about my kids, my dogs, family. So be it. But if you truly want to engage with me on the business side, it's Vernon Corum on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, on TikTok, I'm on all that. My cell phone number is 865-361-2997. That's a business line. That's strictly business. That's what we use it for. That goes to me. I like text first if you can. The other part of that equation is that you can email me. My email is shorttermpro@gmail.com. That's a good way to get a hold of me. But we have some forms and things for you to fill out. If you're interested in any of that today, if you'll reach out to me, mainly email or social media is a good way to reach out to me. Get out to me today and just kind of figure out what you want to do, and let's start the process. If you're afraid and frustrated and you're in a mess, let me help you. If you're not, then if you just want to get started in this industry, I'm there to help you too. And again, we try to stay positive. We try to build everything around positivity and how we're going to be able to help you and how we're going to help you be able to grow it. The most important thing today is, though, guys, as I close out the podcast, is love everybody and leave a legacy. Thanks for listening to my inaugural episode. Please hit the subscribe button, like button, and continue to be a listener and become a part of it. If you're a pro, come on in. Let's work together. Let's do some deals. Let's work some things out. And let's get going, and let's start creating some opportunities for the folks in our local communities.